But it's just got to a point where you're not getting any younger, and you keep spinning your wheels for so long that having a team behind you seems very, very inviting.
How old are you going to be before you start to experience life like you want it? I want to tell you right now, whether you like it or not, there is a better way to do business. Hi everyone, welcome to Business for Builders podcast. Welcome to you if you're in YouTube land. My name's Max, I'm the CEO, and we're looking forward to bringing you another episode with a bunch of value. Look, be sure to like and subscribe. Be sure to hit me up with any questions you might have. You can shoot me an email, max@businessforbuilders.ca. You can text us on 250-241-8866. We would love to help out in any way we can. So hit me up if you've got any questions, and I'll be sure to get back to you as promptly as I can. So today we are mostly talking to general contractors. If you are a sub or something, a lot of what we talk about is relevant. But mostly we're going to be chatting about subject matter to do with running general contracting companies, but more importantly, running high-performance general contracting companies. So today I've got a treat for you. Often you hear me talk about our franchise organisation. I think a couple of episodes ago or one episode ago, we had one of our guys who's been with us for 12 months and he was able to share his story. But today I have a treat. I have our newest franchised operator that's just gone through 4 days of training. He has joined us in the studio. Mr. Jason Gall from Oak Bay in Victoria. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Max.
Hey,
Appreciate it.
We have had an interesting 4 days, haven't we?
Yeah, it's been good.
It's really interesting that we can just sit down and just have a quick chat at the end of a 4-day training. Obviously, we're looking to launch the business in the next 30 days. And really keen to maybe just share with the audience your story. Now,
Other than my melting brain right now?
we don't want to go right back to the days of Lego.
I got you. Yeah.
But what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring some value. So the franchising business model in the construction sector is just super unusual, right? A lot of guys, we're doing our best to share the message, right, and talk about how franchising works in the construction sector, but I always love to chat with guys like yourself that have, just been exposed to it, let's say, and then made a commitment to actually join forces with Smith & Sons. So really, I think what we want to do is just get a little bit of a snapshot and a bit of insight as to where, what you'd been doing, where your background, maybe start from where you did your apprenticeship and what you specialised in more recently. Yeah. And then we can talk about the second phase. It's like, right, what was the turning point when you thought, this Smith & Sons thing, might be what I'm looking for? So how did you learn the trade?
Just trial and error.
Just being on the job.
That's what it was. Just going at it, and just basically putting yourself into a position to learn and learning
all the time.
All the time. You're always on your feet, always on your toes, trying to figure out what to do and how to do it. And if you don't have the answers, you got to find them. And never really had. I've gained knowledge through experience and through others with knowledge. Yep. Right. And especially when you're that young, you just think the world is at your fingertips, and basically you learn from mistakes, and there's plenty of mistakes when you're young, especially in business and in life in general. But when it comes down to it, it's just you keep on persevering, keep on pushing through, and you just got to keep going.
So is there in those days when you're doing mostly, you said you did a fair bit of stuff, but you ended up doing mostly concrete and framing.
Concrete and framing at the beginning, and then as you learn, I've done multiple things, like running construction crews for renovation projects and apartment buildings, gutting them completely and redoing them from carpet to paint at the end, right? So you're doing kitchens, bathrooms, everything. Honest speed. It's focused on speed and time. But then a lot of high-end kitchens and flooring and bathrooms, and just throughout the time, that's what finishings, lots of finishing. Like to do that in the winter.
Of course you do.
So it's just, but it's just got to a point where you're not getting any younger, and you keep spinning your wheels for so long that having a team behind you seems very, very inviting.
So, it's pivotal what you're getting at right now. It's like there is a point where is it exhaustion? Is it frustration with, okay, I've been doing business for X amount of years and you're sort of, like you say, you're spinning your wheels. I mean, is there a degree of despair that starts to kick in? You're like, I can't believe I haven't really cracked it like I thought I was going to.
Well, you definitely have your ups and downs.
Sure.
Right? Like and you do, and it takes an emotional toll on you. There's no question about it, but you learn throughout time of doing it that it's you have to learn how to deal with that accordingly, and you can't let that control your existence. But when it comes down to it, it's just I know I know the trades. I've ran a business since I was 20. Not saying I've ran it well, right? Hence this as well. But it's honestly it's not the frustration or the aggravation. Yes, the body can't take physical labor for 40 years of your life. You just can't do that. It's hard on you, like people's knees and backs and elbows and shoulders.
Because literally what you're doing now is you don't...
It's labor intensive, yeah. But that's only in the interim now.
That'll change.
And it will change. But I'm not afraid of hard work, and I'm not afraid of change. And I do believe that change is the only constant. And unless you're willing to adapt and change with your environment and push forward, then you're just going to keep on doing the same thing over and over and over again.
So, so what were you, how long have you been doing it now? Like what age are you now? You said you started at 20?
I'm almost 36, yeah.
Okay, so 15, 16 years.
15, 16 years solid.
Swinging a hammer.
Yeah.
Making it happen.
Yeah.
All right, so what's
crews, lots of crews, multiple times, having six crews running at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is a big headache when you're young, and it's hard to break through with that too. But
so what's changed, let's say, in the last couple of years where you've sort of, it could be a combination of things. It could be age. It could be the fact that you've been doing this and you're looking for something different, or you want to get into something different. What was it that got you sort of thinking about changing direction as far as business?
Well, I first heard of Smith & Sons from you 3 years ago, probably. Right. And we've had various conversations, maybe a few. Just no selling or anything. It's just informative. And it just as it grew and as it seemed real, and I started diving into it a little more.
Right.
And it just seemed something that I would excel in, right? Using the skills that I already have, and having this backing and program, this program behind someone like myself that really, when you're dealing with construction, it's really hard to have that when you're a one-man show.
Right.
So it's just nice to have that backing. I think it'd be very beneficial to my style to have that in my corner.
So really, whatever we're doing, whether we're writing copy for ads or we're doing recruitment videos, I often talk about joining forces. And I think, not just you, but all the other guys, it really, that process whereby we bring something to the table that's of value. And like you just said, you've got those skills and experience and you bring that to the table. It's almost like the sum total, of our efforts as a joint force actually creates something exponentially greater.
100%. There's no question about that. And that's the draw, right? And not only yourself and the team behind you, but also the other franchisees, right?
Right.
And being able to have that network, because it almost seems like everyone's in competition, right? In the standard building game, everyone's in competition. You're always trying to get the jobs and undercut, and it's always someone else's fault. You're never taking accountability, and it's maddening, right? And that creates its own stress in itself. But having this clan, this team together, where I firmly believe that power in numbers will succeed a lot more than you can't do everything yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And with this Smith & Sons, it just seems like a good next step to further the career in building.
Yeah.
Really.
And it's interesting because, like you said, I mean, we chatted about, I don't remember ever trying to sell you.
Never once.
I think, it's just a sharing component. You often would say, how's it going and what's happening? And
I've always been interested in business, especially the building game, right? So
sure.
You being in that, I'm always been interested in the whole where you're at in it and what's going on.
Yeah. And
it's just topic of conversation for me. I live it on a daily basis. So having someone else you can discuss it with is always good.
Yeah. So, what can you tell our audience about, we've just, and I did sort of mention this to you pre-training, the 4 days of training we've just gone through, because because you wouldn't have experienced the training, because it's a very specialized approach to, to training our builders. Yeah. How did you go? I mean, because I know for me as a trainer, which is quite ironic for a guy that never ever graduated, for me as a trainer, I know my franchise types. As far as we're builders, we like to be hands on, out in the field doing it. How did you find the training, and what sort of stuff did you learn? Anything that was eye-opening, that was massively mind-blowing, or was it fairly vanilla, or what do you think?
Well, what I did get from it, I did my family, being with, like, throughout my life, my family had a franchise, right? It, just your standard grocery franchise kind of thing, right? And so I had, that's one hesitant from me, just knowing that type of business.
So that turned you off franchising?
Initially, it did, right? So when you were talking about it in early stages, like years ago, so I was very curious, because I just have this one set mind, this one thought in my mind, what a franchise is.
Got it.
And after doing this and running through your training, it's completely different. It has no bearing on what you think the typical franchise is, and it's teamwork. It's grassroots. It's there, and it's very informative. Yes, my brain is melting. It's been 4 days, like trying to process everything, right?
Yeah.
But fortunately, you're not just sending me out to the wolves,
no.
right? Like, so you have that team behind you, and the people there to help further the next steps, right?
I mean, a lot of what we focused on was the science and psychology.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously the initial focus is to go, right, let's get some initial training out the way to get the guys started, but then focus on the first 90 days and making sure that we're staying in touch pretty closely about it. But yeah, we try and bring that value to our guys and really expose them to different concepts and processes and principles and fundamentals and things that really empower their thought process about running a building company.
Yeah.
And for someone like yourself that's been around it for 15 years, we really want to firstly elevate your understanding and your comprehension. And then we want to see you go out there and take, whatever your goal is and just, really get that done.
Yeah.
Which is super important.
Well, clearly you're in it to make everyone succeed, right? That is your goal. And you can see that you're very invested emotionally and financially invested in this whole process. And it's a relief to see.
Yeah.
Like it's nice.
It's refreshing.
It's refreshing. It's very refreshing. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, nice. I think, we talk, and it's really, I obviously we're up to episode, whatever it is, 70 something. And, I love to try and give value, but you've sat in training for 4 days and you really have just got a bit of a kickstart on what we do. But to really implement that is going to be a period of weeks and months.
Oh, of course.
To really get up to speed and to be able to execute efficiently and understand how it all comes together. Yeah. We're really excited to see, what you're going to do in the business.
Yeah, I feel the tools are all there to succeed. You're setting us up to succeed, and it's up to me to initiate and implement those tools, and use the resources available, right, to further this Smith Sons Oak Bay.
So, mate, if you were sitting in front of someone that had a similar background to you, maybe had been in the construction business 10 or 15 years and is a little bit jaded, what advice would you give them if they've just come across the Smith & Sons brand and they've just been exposed to franchising in the construction industry? What do you say to the Jays 3 years ago just to sort of get the ball rolling?
I don't know if I could have said much to the Jays 3 years ago. Honestly.
Sure.
But really, as time goes on, you'd have to deflate their initial thought process of doing everything themselves,
right?
Because as soon as you step over that and overcome that, and know that you're part of a team, and power and numbers will prevail. But as soon as you can burst that bubble gently, then you can start massaging the idea.
But then to your point, there's a timing issue.
Yeah,
like
you have to be ready.
If I had have gone in to try and close you 3 years ago,
I would have shut you.
It just would have been I'm not interested,
That's
bro.
Right. That's right.
So I think we talk about that in retail sales. With some clients, homeowners are just you talk about the scope, you talk about the price, and they're blown away. They're like, no, I'm not doing that. But then over time, they might have talked to other GCs, done some more research, and then 18 months later, they ring you up again, or and they're like, oh, I'm ready.
That's right.
So really what happened? Well, there's some learning that took place.
And life changes too. Priorities change.
Yes.
Right? Where you want to be, what you can see yourself doing, 5, 10 year, 15, 20 year goals, right? There's things that are involved in that as well. Yeah. But, and who doesn't want to go work in Victoria? Like, come on.
It's not a bad. There's nothing. I mean, the Okanagan's all right, but I guess. All right, mate. Well, look, I appreciate you sitting down with me after a long week of brain melting exercise. Yeah. We're really looking forward to seeing what you can produce, and mate, we're so privileged to have you as part of the team, man.
Yeah, I feel fortunate, and I appreciate everything you're doing, man. It's I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Brilliant. All right, folks, you heard it from Jason from Oak Bay. He's the man. We're going to be watching closely as to what he can put together. And we'll probably get you back in 12 months and have a bit of a chat.
See what happens.
We really appreciate you chiming in or tuning in and having a listen. And we look forward to seeing you build a kick-ass business, man. Awesome. Thanks, guys. See you in the next episode. Cheers.